close to 2 months in the hospital. We'll get you the latest. And with 5 days to go for the election of a new national executive for the New Patriotic Party, your election headquarters brings you a special focus on the General Secretary contest. First up is a man seeking to purge the party of old executives, former Tamale Mayor Musa Superior.
And if we want to deliver this mantra, breaking the 8 in 2024, I think that we should do a lot of soul searching and revert back and do a lot of work so that we can get our party administratively correct and politically huge.
And in sports,
Black Stars winger Kamaldeen Suleiman has made the final shortlist for the CAF Young Player of the Year award. Details in 20 minutes.
Plus, Ghana Security Services on high alert for suspected Boko Haram militants who broke jail in Nigeria as they joined their counterparts in the sub-region for a manhunt of the suspects. These and more here on the Midday News with me, Blessed Sogah. Thanks for choosing us. Joy News, independent, fearless and credible journalism. A reminder that the experience is always better on the digital platforms. Look for Joy99.7FM on our live feed. And this afternoon, Labour unions say the calls by government to call off ongoing industrial action and abandon plans to commence fresh ones is coming in too late. It will be a crucial week on the Labour front as government scales up talks with the striking Labour unions in a desperate push for them to suspend their demand for a 20% cost of living allowances. This follows a first round of negotiations between workers and government last week, which ended inconclusively. Already, some 65 unions made up of over 27,000 workers have served notice of joining the strike if government fails to pay them COLA. The latest to join the calls is the Doctors Union, Ghana Medical Association. We hear from them shortly. First, a wrap of the concerns by the workers.
Know our demands already. I don't know. They came empty-handed.
Are you going back to the classrooms tomorrow?
No, we are not going back to the class.
That was the position of NAT, NAGRAT, CCT and TEU after their first round of talks with government. They said government input fell short of their expectations. More worker unions had joined the calls for the COLA.
If government had taken the time to increase our base pay within 2022, Ghanaian workers and senior staff will not be on the streets, on the radio, on the TV, making noise on COLA.
By the end of the week, some 27,000 public sector workers drawn from 65 unions had voted to abandon their post in 7 days if government did not pay them COLA.
We are given 7 days as the labor law requires that our concerns are addressed. If not, we lay down our tools. Okay.
This could potentially bring government to its knees. President Akufo-Addo wants the teachers to suspend their strike and submit to a fresh round of talks.
I want to add my voice for the teachers to return to the classrooms pending the outcome of these negotiations.
Well, Gender Desk Coordinator at NAGRAT, Rebecca Abedo, says the union remains on strike.
We are still on strike. We have not called off the strike. We are happy that we've been invited for a discussion on Tuesday. We are hopeful that we'll have something tangible to send to our rank and file so that we can call off the strike.
And that's the Gender Desk Coordinator at NAGRAT, Rebecca Abedo. There, the Public Sector Workers Union has also described government's approach to the negotiation as firefighting. Bernard Ejay is General Secretary.
Unfortunately, this has been long in coming, and the reaction from the authorities have not been swift, unfortunately, and our members would have to now take decisions before firefighting approach comes. It's rather unfortunate. None of us wants us to get to this point, but I believe since we started calling for this, and at the Midday that also came up, followed by a letter, our colleagues, the teacher unions, then followed it up with an ultimatum. Nothing was done until the strike began. It's rather unfortunate. Too little, too late.
And that's the General Secretary for the Public Sector Workers Union, Bernard Ejay. Well, the Ghana Medical Association is also demanding COLA for its members. Dr. Titus Bayo is General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association.
And I should put it on record that the GMA have also made that demand for the COLA. We are part of a bigger group called the Forum. and the forum has requested for COLA.
Are you also asking for 20% or more than 20?
All of us are singing the same song. And we had wished that government would have started with us much earlier to negotiate and discuss this. But if you look at the technical definition of a cost of living allowance, it's not a normal salary. It's a salary or an allowance given to a worker because of some special situations. It could either be that the worker lives in a particular area where the cost of living there is higher than normal across the country, or there is a situation within the country that has made the worker's salary worse off. So it's usually a temporary allowance. It's not expected to be a permanent feature on our pay slips, but it's to cushion us for the period that we find ourselves in. And the history in this country has demonstrated that successive past governments, where we've had very serious difficulties, have given this cost of living to labor unions or the labor workforce to help us survive. Okay. When we went for the IMF in the very last one before this, there was a cost of living allowance. And it was just a recognition that when your economy goes so bad, the person on salary, people even struggle to get transportation to work.
That's the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Titus Bayo. The National Association of Registered Midwives Ghana has become the latest to join the action. They also want government to pay them COLA. It's General Secretary Harrison Ampabing joins us for more on this. Good afternoon to you, sir. Welcome to the program. So you know that government is under enormous pressure giving a decision to go to the IMF. Is your demand not too much for government to deal with?
All right, thank you very much. My greetings to your cherished listeners. You see, we all know that we are in a situation whereby there is economic crisis and things are not as it used to be. We are all experiencing hardship. So when first it was demanded, we realized that the government will pay. Once the government pays, it goes to all public sector workers, from which midwives nationwide are part. But we have waited and waited, have not heard from the government. So we also issued a press statement that government should pay the COLA as soon as possible. It was paid in 2014, 10%, to cushion public sector workers when we were in similar economic crisis. So we are hoping that midwives, also part of public sector workers in Ghana, also demand the 20% COLA.
Well, the concern is about how soon you want your situation dealt with by government. Have you communicated all of this to the authorities here?
Very well done. You see, NAM Ghana, that's the National Association of Registered Midwives. We are part of the Trade Union Congress Ghana. So per the information that was given during the Midday celebration, it goes for all public sector workers. As soon as possible, we are waiting that, God willing, tomorrow, after the negotiation, we should get some good news. That is basically what we are looking for.
And if we don't have a favorable decision coming out from that meeting, what would happen?
Please pardon?
If nothing comes out from that meeting, what would happen?
It will be very unfortunate for us. Very, very unfortunate. Because let's look at the role of the midwife in the facility, in our homes, in our society, and the entire nation. We are demanding the government pays as soon as possible. I even stated in my letter, that was the release, that immediately we are expecting the government to pay. We don't want to get to the point where we would threaten to strike, because we are always looking at the mother and child.
Yeah, and we've heard from some other worker unions threaten to embark on a strike in the next 7 days. What will be your ultimatum?
The ultimatum will be, no matter what happens, because of our zeal, our passion for the work, we will try our possible best. But when the government doesn't meet our demand, then it will be very unfortunate for us to join other public sector workers.
And Harrison Ampabing is the national president for the Association of Registered Midwives. He's actually the general secretary of the group. Still on labor, an analyst, Austin Game, says government must immediately engage workers in a transparent manner.
In the past, when we had a similar situation, but not this gargantuan level of inflation and related matters, the employer, government then, quickly organized a national and comprehensive national dialogue at home, and almost all the unions were present, and other players were all present. I was there myself. We had a very open-ended type of conversation based on our labor law, because the law enjoins the employer to have an open dialogue with his own workers when you have matters of this nature. To the extent that it also opens that if you have a situation like this, go carry the economic situation and the welfare of the people under section, I believe, 113 subsection C. The importance of it should be openly discussed, and you arrive at a decision that will satisfy both of you. This is a lot more heavier a burden than that of 2015. Yet that was what they did. So it's getting a little too late, but I'm happy they're opening up for a dialogue maybe on Tuesday.
And that's a Labour analyst, Austin Game. Governance expert Dr. John Osai-Kwapong believes a transparent dialogue with search for a compromise is the only way out of the current Labour crisis.
Like Mr. Austin said, his private sector workers go to the same market as the public sector workers. And so what sort of purchasing power are these two types of workers going to the market? That becomes the governance challenge to that. Some way, somehow, like he said, if you can have an open, transparent dialogue about it, acknowledge the realities, acknowledge the challenges, and then some way, somehow find some workable compromise. Because I mean, given the times in which we are, I can see a sort of adversarial, atmosphere, clouding this conversation and this engagement. But it is also not the time for that sort of adversarial, creation of an adversarial atmosphere, because of the circumstances surrounding the demands and, the ability or inability of government to resolve some of these things. But that really is the intractable governance challenge that we face, that we have to find a way to deal with it.
Dr. John Osai-Kwapong is a governance expert. Now, plastic surgeons working on a 9-year-old girl whose hand was literally boiled by her stepmother are considering getting psychological help for her after spending close to 2 months on admission at the Konfuanoche Teaching Hospital. Little Stephanie has recently been expressing concerns over the state of her hand after a series of surgeries. Love FM's Erastus Asari Donko has more. Listeners are warned that the narration may be disturbing for sensitive listeners.
The journey to recovery for little Stephanie has been rough and full of agony. Every step of her healing has been painful. After a series of surgeries to separate her fingers and do skin grafting, Stephanie still has more hurdles to cross. The pain and constant itching of the wounds on her thighs where material for her skin grafting were sourced has forced her to recently question the future of her hand.
They have what we call the post-traumatic stress disorder. Now she's 7 years, she's aware of her environment, right? The post-traumatic stress disorder, as he's saying, is worried whether the hand will get better or not. But we can talk to the clinical psychologist and see how best she can fit in.
Today is a special day for her. 2 officials of Mensing Gold BBNE Limited, who have since absolved her medical treatment, are here to meet lead plastic surgeon Dr. Emil Tano on possible ways of boosting her recovery. Sustainability Manager Emmanuel Edu and Medical Superintendent Dr. Bright Ofosusapon received medical briefing of her road to recovery from Dr. Tano.
Now we can say that we have covered almost 95% of the hand, like from the wrist to the this. But we still have some few challenges. Now 3 fingers, including the thumb, are really moving closer.
Emmanuel Edu and Dr. Bright Ofosusapon pledged the Mensin Gold Company's resolve to explore all avenues to ensure the full recovery of little Stephanie. Meanwhile, the trial of the accused, Ellen Sewa, is yet to begin pending a medical report on her condition.
Erastus Cesare Donko's report read to you. Now, Joy News is learning that Ghana security services are on high alert for suspected Boko Haram militants who escaped from jail in Nigeria last Wednesday. Nigerian officials say about 443 out of the 879 inmates who escaped from the Kuje maximum security prisons in Abuja are still on the run. There had been earlier concerns that, given the current migration trends, the suspects were likely to head for Ghana security analyst Richard Kumado insists Ghana security agencies need to assess information on the suspects to prevent them from entering the country.
What needs to happen is that nations within West Africa zone would need to start exchanging intelligence communications more broadly, and they would need to use dialogue among their operations. And once that is done, it makes cross-border crime very easy to attract and to identify criminals who want to cross. Security border control is important, and movement of supposedly bad people among West African nations are on the increase. The threat of terrorism is coming across the coast, and definitely these guys want to take a nosedive into our country. Immigration, customs, the BNI, the police, first responders themselves will need to be on the lookout, and nobody must sleep until these issues come to a conclusion.
Well, that's security analyst Richard Kumado. Joy News is learning that the country's security agencies have been on high alert to intercept these suspects. My colleague Joseph Akable with our security desk joins me now with more. Joseph, what more do we have on this?
And so we understand that the Immigration Service from the headquarters, they've informed all regional and sector commanders of this development and urged them that they should be on the lookout for these individuals who may use unapproved routes to enter the country. And so they are to institute stringent measures at all points of entry and intensify patrols to deter and intercept all escapees who will attempt to infiltrate the country.
Well, thank you, Joseph Akable. More security analysts have been reacting to this, including Dr. Adam Bona, who has asked the Ghanaian security agencies to also team up with their counterparts in Nigeria.
If you look at, the patterns of crime and the nature, the way they, orchestrate it, the Ghanaian, the pattern, what we know, and then what usually happens in Nigeria, there are a lot of differences or differentials. And so the moment you begin to record some levels of crime and a certain pattern, then you know that it looks like these people would have been here. And so we need to be on high alerts. We need to watch out there. And probably our state authorities would have to double up their effort. I think what they need to be focusing on at this critical moment, I'm sure, is to be looking around the border areas, looking at areas where you have a lot of, our neighbors from Nigeria are staying. We have a lot of them staying around the central region in terms of, Kaswa and its environs. So we know where they stay. What I have also recommended in the past is to get our security or our state agencies responsible for making sure we are safe, to start working in collaboration with the leadership of the Nigerian community in this country. The state has not empowered them enough. And so you have Tom, Dick, and Harry, who is a Nigerian, just walks into the country, and probably the state doesn't know the person is here. Their community leaders are not also aware they are here.
And that's a security analyst, Dr. Adam Bona. You're still with us here on the Midday News on Joy99.7 FM in Accra. We're taking a break, but still to come with 5 days to go for the election of the new national executives of the new Patriotic Party this week. Your election headquarters brings you a special focus on the General Secretary contest. First up is a man seeking to purge the party of old executives, former Tamale Mayor Musa Superior.
And if we want to deliver this mantra, breaking the 8 in 2024, I think that we should do a lot of soul searching and revert back and do a lot of work so that we can get our party administratively correct and politically huge.
Yema Wakwaba, ba Akwaba Magic Ebusia. Brand new channel, Tia Roba, Emuno Chiao. Ewo DSTV channel 149 and Go TV channel 108. Enianom Akwaba Magic Ebusia. Edi Nija wa Ghanaian programs mu baufi. Ebiti said the day to have and to hold. Enyom senior Kasia series any talk show. Bemo Wakao TV set nichi. Akwaba Magic Ebusia. Ewo DSTV access to your 50 Ghana cedis per any Go TV value to your 25 Ghana cedis per Ebusia Akwaba.
And you're still with us here on the Midday News. Time now for sports. Mubarak is here with the latest.
Yes, and earlier today, the Confederation of African Football released the final shortlist for the 2022 CAF Awards to be staged in Morocco later this month. Now, Kamaldeen is the only Ghanaian in the award categories. He made the final 5 of the Young Player of the Year award. Suleimana will compete with Dango Ouattara from Burkina Faso, Karim Konate from Ivory Coast, Senegalese Pape Sarr, and Hannibal Mejbri, who comes from Tunisia. Joy Sports editor Gary Smith explains what the nomination means for Ghana.
Ghana's standing at distinguished international awards has taken a nosedive over the last couple of years, as it has coincided with the decreasing allure of the Black Stars. And for Kamaldeen to get here means that maybe we are not exactly doing something right, but it is a glimmer of hope that in the coming years, this new generation can begin to feature prominently in CAF Awards, because the more your players get there, the better the image of your country's football.
Gary Smith, remember the awards comes off on July 21 in Rabat, Morocco. That's your sport.
Thanks, Mubarak, for joining us with the latest in sports. Now to your election headquarters. And this week, we continue our build-up to the New Patriotic Party's National Delegates Conference, which will elect officers. Today, we put a focus on the General Secretary race. One man is seeking to purge the party of all old executives, but will come up against formidable contestants. Former Mayor of Tamale and Deputy Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission, Musa Superior, is our focus today. Samuel Mbura reports.
And if we want to deliver this mantra, breaking the 8 in 2024, I think that we should do a lot of soul searching and revert back and do a lot of work so that we can get our party administratively correct and politically huge.
Musa Superior is one of the few NPP stalwarts from the northern region to attempt to lead the party at the national level. He has built some influence as the immediate past mayor for Tamale. His campaign is dubbed the People's Campaign. His is an ambition to purge the party of the old leadership. He accuses them of lacking purpose and foresight.
In fact, this project, the People's Campaign, one of our key objectives is to try to advocate for some brand new type of leadership. Because, we can see the lack of purpose and the lack of foresight in the current leadership. And that is why today the NPP is struggling.
The current Deputy CEO of the Forestry Commission has a 10 agenda focused on a so-called bottom-up approach. He also promises to empower party communicators.
We are telling the people that every communications officer should have a computer and an internet so that they can communicate. Well, you have to do proper research to communicate. Any form of communication is street-like. It's not going to help the party.
Mr. Superior claims to have a superior plan to appropriately recognize the contributions of those who toiled for the party. He has promised to institute a reward scheme to serve as motivation. Delegates will cast their ballots this Saturday live on your election headquarters. Musa Superior is number 2 on the ballot paper for the slot of the General Secretary and has this direct message for delegates.
If you allow yourself to be bought, you will not have any moral right to want to regret over the failure of people who have bought.
Well, Samuel Mbura's report there. In a related development, the Greater Accra Regional Security Council is set to pull down all billboards of candidates in the governing NPP's national executive elections. This follows the expiration of a 24-hour ultimatum given to members of the Advertisers Association to do so. The party's election committee had earlier warned against the use of billboards in the contest. Speaking to Joy News Executive Director of the Advertisers Association, Francis Darcy says the move is in the right direction.
There's a process for mounting these billboards, and more often than not, from past experiences, these political activists never go through those processes. And that has been of concern for us, an association, for a long time now. So for us, it's a welcoming news.
But would that be fair to some of your members who have gone through the process to do this properly and have received money?
They know where to come and see how best we can look at compensation, if anything of that sort. We'll have that discussion. But for now, this is the directive and it must be carried out.
Now, the board chairman of the Public Procurement Authority has mounted a defense for the authority absolving them of any blame or possible breach in the award of contracts under the National Cathedral project. His comments comes after the PPA told Norton Member of Parliament Samuel Kujeto Ablakwa that it has no document or information about the controversial project. In an interview with Joy News, Professor Ameya Okonfi said whilst the process could be corrected, he is against the rectification of flawed procurement processes.
Failure of an entity to go through the procurement process leaves that entity with the risk of auditing sanctions. So if you don't come to us, we are not going to ask you to come to us.
And that's the board chair of the PPA, Professor Ameya Okonfi. Now to our Drive Safe tip.
Safe driving saves lives. Drive safe.
And if you're heading out somewhere today, leave sooner, drive slower, leave longer, keep calm, and drive safely. Speed thrills but kills. And that's our Drive Safe tip for you today. And that's how we wrap up the midday news here on Joy99.7 FM in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM, on Facebook as well, and over 30 affiliates across Ghana, 16 regions. My name is Blessed Sogah. There's more news for you at myjoyonline.com.